Imagine standing in a courtroom, not because you committed a crime, not because you stole, cheated, or harmed anyone, but because you wrote a story. Now, imagine this happening not once, not twice, but six different times. This is the story of Saadat Hasan Manto, a writer so honest that society accused him of obscenity simply for holding up a mirror to reality. But what exactly did Manto write? And why did governments, judges, critics, and moral guardians fear his words so much? To answer that question, we must begin with the man himself. Saadat Hasan Manto was born in 1912 in Punjab, then part of British India. As a young man, he showed little interest in becoming a literary icon, yet he developed a fascination with stories, translation, and human psychology. What made Manto different from many writers of his time was his refusal to romanticize reality. He didn't write about perfect heroes. He didn't create idealized worlds. Instead, he focused on ordinary people's, society's outcasts, victims, criminals, laborers, prostitutes, and individuals living at the margins of society. Mantu believed that literature should reveal truth, no matter how uncomfortable that truth might be. Why was Mantu so controversial? To understand the controversy surrounding Mantu, we need to understand his philosophy. Mantu once argued that if society seemed dirty in his stories, the problem was not the stories, the problem was society itself. His works explored violence, sexual exploitation, human cruelty, hypocrisy, social prejudice, and psychological trauma. Many readers were shocked. Others believed he was exposing realities that everyone preferred to ignore. This conflict would define his entire career. Manju faced six obscenity trials during his lifetime. Three occurred before partition and three occurred after partition. Authorities claimed his stories violated moral standards. Supporters argued that he was simply portraying reality. Critics focused on the disturbing subject matter. Mantu insisted that he was exposing human reality, not celebrating it. Again and again, courts questioned his work. Again and again, Mantu defended literature's right to confront uncomfortable truths. Then came 1947, the British India Partition, one of the largest and most traumatic migration in human history. Millions were displaced. Hundreds of thousands lost their lives. Communities that had lived together for generations suddenly turned against one another. For Mantu, partition was not merely a political event, it was a human catastrophe. The horror he witnessed transformed his writing forever. To understand why Manchu became so controversial, we need to look at some of his most famous works. These stories were not merely pieces of fiction, they were mirrors held up to society, and many people didn't like what they saw. Among all of Mantu's work, none became more famous than Toba Tek Singh. This story is set inside a mental asylum. After the partition of India in 1947, the governments of India and Pakistan decide to exchange mental patients according to their religious identities. Among these patients is a Sikh man named Bishan Singh. He repeatedly asks a simple question: where is Toba Tek Singh? Toba Tek Singh is his hometown, but nobody can clearly explain whether it now belongs to India or Pakistan. This situation sounds absurd, yet that absurdity is exactly Mantu's point. The people considered insane are trying to make sense of political reality that even sane people can't fully understand. Mantu uses the asylum as symbol of world that has lost its reason. The story questions national identity, borders, political interest, and human sufferings. It has famous ending. When Bishan Singh finally learns that his hometown is no longer where he thought it was, he refuses to choose either side. Standing in the strip of land between India and Pakistan, he collapses. He belongs to neither country. This heartbreaking ending transformed the story into one of the greatest works ever written in Urdu literature. Another unforgettable story is Khol Do. The story follows a father searching desperately for his missing daughter Sakina during the chaos of partition. After days of searching, some volunteers claim that they have rescued her. Later, she is brought unconscious to a hospital. A doctor enters the room and asks someone to open a window. The words he uses are "Khol Do," which means open it. Suddenly, the unconscious girl automatically loosens her clothing. The doctor freezes. The father celebrates because he believes his daughter is alive. But the reader immediately understands the horrified truth. Why is this ending so shocking? Basically, the phrase "Khol Do" has become an automatic response because she has suffered repeated sexual assault. Mantu never gives graphic details, yet the implication is devastating. Basically, the story reveals the brutality of partition, the psychological effects of trauma, the vulnerability of women during conflict, and the collapse of human morality during violence. Many critics consider this one of the most powerful endings in the world literature. Thanda Gosht. It is another controversy. The story revolves around a man named Ishwar Singh. During communal riots, he attacks a family and abducts a young girl. Consumed by hatred and violence, he commits a terrible act. Later, he discovers something horrifying. The girl was already dead. The realization destroys him psychologically. His guilt becomes unbearable. Why was it banned? Authorities claimed the story was obscene. Many readers focused on its disturbing subject matter, but Mantu insisted that he was exposing the horror created by hatred and violence. The real subject of the story is guilt, violence, moral collapse, loss of humanity. The story forces reader to confront the consequences of communal hatred. Another controversial story was Boo, meaning the smell. The story follows a valiant man who becomes fascinated by this natural scent of poor village women. Years later, even after marriage, he can't forget that experience. The story explores human desire, memory, social class, and attraction beyond wealth and status. Why did it cause controversy? Because it discussed sensuality openly at a time when many people believed such subjects should never appear in literature. Basically, the most writers asked, what should society be? Mantu asked, what is society actually like? He wrote about refugees, prostitutes, victims, criminals, social outsiders, partitions, survivors. He refused to romanticize reality. He refused to hide uncomfortable truths. And that refusal is exactly what made him both controversial and unforgettable. Was Mantu really obscene? This question remained debated every day, even today. Those who criticized Mantu believed literature should protect public morality. Those who defended him argued that literature must tell the truth. Mantu himself maintained that he merely reflected reality. His position was simple. If people was disturbed by his stories, perhaps they should examine the society that produced those stories. Let's talk about his final years. Despite his literary success, Mantu struggled financially, emotionally. He faced criticism, legal battles, and isolation, yet he continued writing. Even when many rejected him, he refused to compromise his artistic vision. In 1955, at the age of only 42, Mantu died. His life was short, but his influence proved enormous. So, why was Mantu put on the trial 6 times? Because he dared to write what others were afraid to say, because he exposed truth that many preferred to hide, and because history has repeatedly shown that society often punishes those who reveal its deepest contradictions. Mintu's trial ended decades ago, but the questions he raised about truth, censorship, and human nature remain as relevant today as ever. And perhaps that is why the world still reads him. Thank you for watching. Follow for more and subscribe my channel.